But just go ahead and lean back, and she'll reach out for you. There you go. She'll wrap her legs around you.
And you can.
Yep, so she's looking at you already.
I'll ask a really dumb question. Did she just, I guess, sleep there, sleep in the tree?
Yep,
Just
yep, she likes the hammock, maneuver around the jungle.
pull your hair back. She won't eat your hair.
Some fruits, so she does like banana. We've given them mango before. You were just researching that today, Kevin, or about...
Yeah, because
Germany.
we'd been hearing a lot of reports of that there was one that was 50 years old, but that was 2019, so we decided to do a little bit more research. So there was one that made it to 54,
Wow.
and her name was Jan. Before that, it was Paula. I guess so. They're smarter than males, you know.
Well,
What's your smell?
our adult sloth, this is, I mean, she's only just been in here a few days, but our adult sloth, sometimes he'll sleep just on a limb and just curled up in a little ball, stretching.
That's the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, get a picture of that for sure.
She's trying to guess what we were doing. So I had bought a sloth that goes around the neck that vibrates.
There we go. We were looking for some snacks.
Is that good?
So baby sloths are born with teeth. They start eating leaves at about 4 days old. They're clinging on to mom during this time. But 2 of the kangaroos that we have are babies. And we still bottle feed them so that you can pick.
I feel like I should lift her hands back up. Is she okay?
Yeah, she's totally good. They're like slinkies. They just slouch around. Very flexible.
They're the bad posture we've been warned about our whole life.
Yeah.
That's amazing. The bathroom once every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. So in the wild it'd be once every 2 weeks. In captivity we're feeding them more. They have more access to food, and so it's gonna be once every 7 to 10 days.
I would be miserable.
So, and then they actually lose 1/3 of their body weight when they go.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So
Wow.
that all that food is just building up in there.
Wow.
So like right now you can see her belly's kind of like a Buddha belly looking. So after she goes, she'll kind of slim down quite a bit.
She's so sweet.
Why don't you feed her one?
Sorry.
She's definitely nice and relaxed today.
I'm surprised you don't get choked hanging around upside down eating.
No, yeah, so their intestines are really unique that their intestines are actually attached to their ribs, and so they don't shift, so that's why they can hang upside down
Wow.
and, you know, not have, like, if we hung upside down, our guts would be like, and
And
it'd
our
all
throat.
push up, yeah. So theirs are fixed in place.
Sweetie, how much can you eat?
Maybe yes.
You think about it?
Slowing down. It gets really hot and it gets really cold in the more desert area, and so they're actually cold tolerant.
I think you're getting tired of them. You're getting tired of it.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I said, but you guys can take as many pictures and videos as you want, and you can get up nice and close to her, selfies, videos, whatever you want.
I'm just gonna towel out.
What you looking for, Zoe?
I think I'd take me a nap.
Yeah, so this would be her kind of more animated play. You know, we
What are you gonna about to do? What are you gonna about to do?
Sleep.
It's always a girl, boy, girl.
what?
It's a girl, boy.
Yeah, she's a girl. Yeah, and then our newest baby is a boy.
Oh. So do you acquire these as rescues or purchase?
It's a purchase. So
Okay.
they're raised by a breeder in Florida, so they're not wild caught. The breeder out of Florida has about 4 or 5 generations of sloths that originally he brought them in from out of the country, and then they were all, you know, from then on bred in captivity. And he puts a lot of work into them as babies, so they are handleable
Right,
like
right.
this. And you'll see, you know, people on the internet that or information about sloths that you shouldn't touch them and they don't like to be handled, etc., which is true for wild sloths and any wild animal.
Yeah.
So I can't think of any wild animal that wants to hang
Be
out with
cuddled,
people.
yeah.
Exactly. So yes, with a little bit of a like, well, when they're raised.
Turn your eyes and look at me. You know, get a picture. That was good when she's looking right at the camera. Yeah. I know you're not really seeing it good. Yep. Don't see that nasty hair?
Do you guys want me to get some from here with both y'all in it? With your phone?
Sure.
Zoe's looking.
Kevin, I need to move the macaws back inside
Okay.
real quick.
Portrait. Zoe. There she's moving. You got a bunch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You okay?
Yeah, half the reason I do this is I have an 8-year-old daughter and she loves all the animals, you know.
Oh.
So,
Now, yeah. Is this your wife?
no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So you work here with her?
Yep, I do all the social media and marketing and all that.
Awesome. What is your favorite animal?
I like horses.
Do you?
Yeah, so, but the camels are really, they act like huge dogs. So we actually just did a thing where we go out and look for emu eggs, and the camels are following us and like shooing away the emus. It's hilarious.
So when y'all do the emu eggs, or y'all would try to like hatch them?
So they go to a hatchery right down the road because it takes like a really big one, bigger than normal eggs. And so they hatch them and then sell the baby emus.
Oh,
Because
okay.
we don't want any more emus. Emus are like a 2-year-old that had a Red Bull. They just kind of run around in circles.
Yeah, I had a friend that spent several years ago back in the
Oh, yeah.
and they had a farm, and I was down in their field talking to her and had on a remember a red jacket with gold shiny buttons. That ostrich came on, boom, boom.
I really don't want ostriches, but they're debating them. But it'll be an interesting video is what it'll be.
So she sleeps most of the day, obviously.
Yeah, so sleepy.
She'll, like when she was moving around earlier, that's kind of like her playtime excitement for the day, and then after that she's gonna just,
Want to sleep?
yeah, that was,
Do you feel my hair?
We were coming over, there was a huge hawk. I mean, probably the biggest one I've seen. We have hawks in our backyard, but rat or something. We scared him and he dropped it.
yeah.
How long have you lived here?
They've had the property for 5 years, and then they started the farm about 3 years ago, as far as like the animal encounters and
this
stuff.
isn't your farm.
No, so I'm just an employee, and I've been here about 4 weeks now.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
you're a boy. And you've been here how long?
A year, about
Oh,
a
okay.
little over a year and a half, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, Kevin takes care of all the social media stuff, and then I take care of the animals and do the animal encounters and all
But you guys stay real busy in the summer.
that. Mm-hmm.
It's always busy.
Probably around, yeah.
And where'd you guys say you were from?
Cleveland.
Oh, that's
Just
cool.
right down
You
the road.
look so familiar. Do you work at a bank or something?
I used to work for Olin Chemical.
Oh, okay. I'd done some trucking stuff, and we'd talked to Olin, but I didn't
What
work.
turkey company did you work for?
Freightworks, and there was another one out of like Wisconsin, but we didn't actually have a contract with Olin.
Okay.
But I'd gotten everything set up. That's why I was like, did I see you on a Zoom call or something?
I did not do those. I just retired.
Gotcha.
So maybe in town,
Maybe.
around the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like it when the locals actually come. We probably have more people from other states than people that live close.
Well, you know, how I found out about it is I had friends that were here this summer with the kangaroos,
Mm-hmm.
or I didn't even know it was here.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to repost my pictures.
And I'll cut up some of these and put them on like Facebook and TikTok and
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
That's where we're live right now on Instagram and TikTok.
It's just living the life.
Yep, not too shabby.
So how many encounters do you have with her a day? Two? Just two?
2, yeah, so a total of an hour.
And that's probably enough.
Yeah, yeah, we
That's
limit her
definition.
encounters.
When with how long till the baby gets to start doing encounters?
We'll start doing encounters with him when she transfers really easy, so, like from me to the other person, and she's used to that routine. So he goes through a quarantine, and after that, Donna, who's the husband and wife that own the farm, she's gonna be working with him, and he just got here a couple days ago. So he's still getting a little adjusted, but when he starts transferring easier from one person to the next, then we'll probably start doing encounters with him. But right now he just kind of clings on and isn't used to being,
Passed
moved.
around, yeah.
Mhm.
And the older one is a female.
Male, yeah, and he's just right next door, and he is not used to being held by people. So when we do encounters with him, it's only just feeding. You can pet him, but you can't put him on.
Right.
You.
And what's the biggest weight they get?
About 15 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's about 8, and then he's about
Well,
15.
she's 8 for a few weeks, then she'll be about.
Exactly. So towards the end of their poop cycle, they're gonna weigh more. After a poop is when you weigh them, and that's gonna be the accurate weight.
Do you deal just with the sloths or do you do the other animals?
Oh
too?
yeah, a lot. All the other animals too.
It was so sleepy.
She is.
He's so tired. See, this activity wears me out.
Mhm.
Look at me. Love. Her personally.
Really wouldn't want to hold a wild sloth because it'd be covered in bugs also. So their digestive system works on that. So they're only coming down to use the bathroom like once a week. And then when they do that, the sloth moth actually gets onto them. So when they go to groom themselves, when they're actually grooming, they get a bunch of bacteria on their claws. And then when they touch their mouth, that's what's helping them digest.
Interesting. Wow.
So a lot of people are like, do they stink? Do they have bugs? People are like, do they stink? Do they have bugs? And we're like, no, because they're not wild sloths.
Right.
Yeah.
So wild. You should have a smell.
they would be covered with algae and bugs and not smell the greatest.
And so we don't bathe any of our sloths. We might spot clean their bum a little bit here and there, but they don't get baths. So that is just their natural hair and smell and everything.
And so you don't cut their hair or anything either, do you?
Nope.
Well, she could have some hair at 54 years old.
I know. I'd be interested to see pictures of an older one. It's
Yeah.
gonna be really long. Sloths in the wild, their main predator is a harpy eagle, which is the largest eagle in the world. They're pretty massive and scary. But so sloths' two main defenses is moving slow. As the eagle is soaring above the treetops, they're looking for movement. And the sloth moves so slow, and they're also camouflaged with the algae and everything. They just look like a part of the tree and can't spot movement because they're slow. So that's their defense. Their second defense, like if they did get spotted, let's say eagle landed on the tree limb next to them, they can't get away fast enough because they can't move fast enough to get away. So what they do is they just fall out of the tree on purpose and just do a free fall
Oh, really?
to get away.
And it doesn't hurt them?
No, so they
Kinda
can
like a cat.
withstand, yep, they can withstand a fall 80 to 100 feet.
Wow.
So the way that their bodies are designed with their organs attached to their rib cage, and how many ribs do they have?
46.
46. It protects all of that.
Wow. What a design.
And there's research been done that they either intentionally or unintentionally fall out of a tree in the wild about at least once a week. Like, it's rough.
They're practicing. They're fun.
Yeah. I'd find a new hobby.
Part of the reason when they fall, let's say they're on a branch that's a little bit smaller than this, so it can support their 8 to 15 pounds depending on their age or sex. But then when something bigger comes out there, so whether it's that jaguar or an eagle or a big snake, then it gets all that added weight and then everybody falls. So that's where that thing of like, hey, the cat didn't live, but the sloth does, because it knows that it's going to go out there, try to reach for something, fall.
You'll be okay.
Yeah. Their floor is a lot spongier in the jungle, so that's the reason we usually have these nets set up. So that way if they did fall, they would land on the nets.
Okay, so the net goes up at night then?
Yep.
Yeah, we're just putting it down because so he can fit back there.
Yeah. I would sit on the net, but I think that would be distracting.
I don't think it hold you. That's
Hey,
not a fat joke.
what?
but-
See how it
It's
is?
a little questionable there. I wouldn't trust it. Her main diet is cooked brown rice, raw sweet potato, and a pellet that we soak. And it gets turned into like a mash. And so she eats that twice a day, about every 12 hours they eat. And then she eats spinach as snacks throughout the day. Fruit would be very limited because if they get too much sugar in their diet, it messes up their gut bacteria. And so then that can actually make them sick. So fruit is very small amounts.
Well, is the pellet kind of like a probiotic or something, or just,
It's a good question. I'm not sure what's all in there. That's just what the breeder recommends. And so like, okay, he knows what he's talking about.
so you go, baby.
But that, balances everything out that they need. So our adult sloth gets a pellet and the baby. So it gets mixed in with their food.
She just passed out.
Yeah, once we get the shavings down, we're gonna repaint the trees to have green leaves and make it a little bit more jungly. It looks like fall right now, obviously. Like, they don't live in the fall season. So we had a different animal in here before. So we'll repaint some of this and then put the shavings down. And so it'll absorb some of the echo in here that's now, so. 'Cause that
Are the
echo's
shavings
not ideal.
cedar or just
Pine. Yeah, just pine shavings. And then we're gonna build a bench here that, like a Murphy style bench where it just folds down so that we can have encounters right in here without having chairs
Yeah,
in the way.
that's a good idea.
So,
There'll be a little more space.
yeah. So we're working on that next.
Does she sleep like on the branches and stuff?
She sleeps in her hammock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she hangs up in there. And she could sleep on the branch, but she likes her hammock. And then same with our adult sloth, he likes his hammock too.
How many hours throughout the day do they stay awake? Not a lot.
Not a
right?
whole lot.
Yeah.
They don't sleep as much as you would think, but they're still in a resting state, even though they might be awake or like partially awake. So as far as like how many hours, I'm not sure. It's gonna be a majority, but a lot of it is just staying put and resting without necessarily sleeping too.
Kind of like you do. Y'all maybe kin to each other.
Yeah. Did you want to hold her and get a picture with her also?
Are you sure you
I'm
don't want
positive.
her?
You want to get a picture of both you guys in the picture?
I think he got.
Oh, you got
some.
one?
He got
Okay.
some. He got a bunch, I think.
Okay, good. And then I can move Zoe back up here in her hammock so you can see what she. Hey Zoe. Hi, sweet girl. Alright, I'm gonna go on your right hand side here. Hi, sweet girl. Hi. Can we get this in here? There you go. Good job. Okay, night night. Night night. There you go. We gotta go to your hammock now. Come on. Night night. Night night. There you go. Good job. Good girl.
Sorry.
Big old booty.
Look at that belly.
Yeah. So can you get over that there, Zoe? Good job. That's her little spot. So cute.
So sweet.
I know. You did good job, Zoe. You did good. Well, thank you guys for
Well, thank
coming
you.
out. Well, thank you guys for
Well,
coming
thank you
out.
for hanging out there.
Readjusting, there you go. Is that better? She's still figuring out how she likes to be comfortable in there.
She kind of looks like those patients at the hospitals. You know, you gotta reach up and grab the bar.
Broke a leg or broke
Yeah.
a arm.
Readjust. And yeah, you can take pictures of her up there too.
I'm gonna have my face.
Yeah, you can get up in there, that's totally fine. There she is.
Hey, babe.
Hi, Zoe.
You're so sweet.
Look at everything.
Nice
still.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you guys.
Thank
Oh.
you. I need a bigger hammock for her. It's just like, she's barely in there.
Depending on where you're watching, we've got some camera on the our little Finnick fox running around here as well. So Zoe hears my voice, and that has her curious, like, what are you doing, Mom? You ate her?
No.
Don't die, baby. No, I
I don't know if you can see his little face.
Hey, Dash.
Not really.
He's
He looks like a
eating-
dark brown blob.
Yeah, it's really hard to see.
He's eating very, very well.
Let me see if I can get it a little bit closer.
You want me to stand up and turn around, maybe?
Let's see. It's so hard to see him.
He does have his eyes wide open. Zoe is grabbing me from behind.
You don't die, baby.
Oh, Zoe's gonna climb up the backside of you, Donna.
I only have one hand.
Okay, and
Back
again,
up,
this
Kevin.
guy, this little guy, it is a male. His name is Dash.
Don't die, baby.
People say that Zoe doesn't really like us.
Yeah.
I
beg to
know.
differ.
Zoe
yeah,
loves Miss
Zoe.
Donna.
Yeah, Zoe.
Just a minute, she'll
So
hold
when
you.
these babies come, we kind of we make their world very small. He has pretty much stayed right here for the last 24 hours. Yes, he slept with me last night. We just want to give them a lot of comfort. And it helps them to acclimate to their new surroundings.
Good girl.
He's doing fantastic. Hello, hello, hello. I did set him down. He has a small bed, and I did set him down in his bed just a little while ago. And it's really the only cries that I had heard out of him. He wanted to be right back up here with me. He's not doing any encounters right now. All of our animals here at the farm, they go into a period of quarantine. So that will be the same with Dash. And then even when he does do encounters, it's gonna be just like our other sloths. We do not, there are facilities I know that run encounters all day, every day. Our sloths have 1 hour of encounter time a day. And that is what keeps them happy and healthy. And so when Dash begins his encounter times in 2025, it'll be the same for him. His encounter times will be very limited. And
Does he still make the same sounds that Zoe was
he
making?
does. He makes that little oof, oof sound. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Let me see if I can like pull him down a little bit. Maybe we can see him move some. And his hair is almost the same color as mine, so it can be kind of, I'm gonna try to keep my hair out of the way so that you can see him. Now Zoe was also very, very chocolate like this. They do start to grow out their blonde as they get older. His hair is still very, very short. It's very soft, if you're wondering.
I'm growing out some blonde too.
But they'll start to get their longer adult hair at about 9 months old. Zoe, you can even see the difference though between Zoe and Flash. Flash's hair is even longer. They will continue to grow to their full size, which is about 2.5 to 3 years. They'll max out. Zoe's last weight check, she was just over 9 pounds. We haven't done a weight check on this little guy yet. We'll be doing that when he goes potty. That is the only time that you can really accurately get a weight on a sloth, because they only use the bathroom about every 7 to 10 days. And so to get an accurate weight on them, you do that after they've gone to the bathroom. I would guess that he's probably, I would guess he's about 1 pound, 7 ounces. And I don't know if I can get him turned around for you guys. Let me get this other paw. Come here, Dash.
When he does the thing where he gets on your arm, you can see him better.
On my forearm?
No, when he gets on your bicep.
Oh, well,
Oh, what, girl?
hey, baby. Let's see. I don't want to. I try to let them hold on. That's what they're comfortable doing. And then. There he is. Hi, Dash. Hi. Hi, baby. He's very wide-eyed. Some people think that they sleep more than they do just because they're not moving. But scientists have discovered that they actually are awake more than originally thought. It's just that they're not like us. They don't have to be running around and doing something just because they're awake. So you can see that he is very much awake right here.
Some people want to know if he's a two-toe or a three-toe.
He is a two-toed sloth. We're going to look at the front feet to determine that. All sloths, the two-toed and the three-toed, have the 3 toes. I'm going to pull one of his little hind feet out here. So they all have the 3 toes on the hind feet. But if you look at these little front feet, this is where you're going to see the 2 or the 3. There's actually a trend in the scientific community to start referring to them as 2-fingered or 3-fingered, because what we would think of as legs back here, they all have 3 toes technically, and then it's what we would refer to as their arms, maybe their hands, as having the 2 or 3 fingers. So if you're looking at articles online, you'll see a lot of things referring to them as 2-fingered and 3-fingered.
It's Zoe looking at the camera.
Yeah.
It's always on me.
So it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute.
She looks huge now compared to...
She does, yeah. It reminds me of when I was a mom and I had I birthed a new child, and then my other children would come into the room and suddenly they would look like, just enormous. So she now looks so big to me. Hi, Zoe. Hello.
When Ashley was born, I said, put her back. She's too small.
Oh, hi, baby girl.
Neither one of my kids were little.
Hi.
KK was 9-15.
Hi. So she can come over here, but probably, let's see, let her, she's gonna demand to come over here, and I got
You can put your arm down.
Hey y'all, looks like there's a bunch of new people that have joined, so while they're switching sloths, I'll tell you where we are. We are at Ocoee Riverside Farm. We are located halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. We have lodging here for up to almost 40 people, and we have over 125 animals, including sloths, foxes, camels, iguanas, kangaroos. You can bottle feed kangaroos. There's so much to do here. This is a great place to come and create memories that'll last a lifetime.
So Zoe did not see me yesterday because I was traveling to pick Dash up. And so she's like, no, I'm not waiting another minute. Where have you been?
Boy.
You traitor. Hello, baby girl. Hello. 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 I missed you too. Yeah. I missed you too. Hello.
Yeah, probably a new smell. Yeah.
So sloths are just one kind of animal that we have here on the farm. We are a lodging farm. You can come and stay with us. We are a small lodging farm, which is nice because it gives families the opportunity to create some intimate memories while they're here. We can host up to 37 guests on the farm each night. You do not have to do animal encounters while you're here, although the majority of people that come do want to do at least one of our animal encounters. We've got the sloths, of course. We've got camels, kangaroos, coatimundis.
Are you
We've
figuring it out?
several reptiles, birds, micro squirrels, hedgehogs, sugar gliders, llamas, alpacas, a zebra. There's just too many to list, but we
And they
can.
also can come just to see the animals and not stay.
Yes, and you do not have to lodge with us to be able to come and do an animal encounter. That changed in the spring of this year. Used to be we were strictly lodging guests only, but now you can come and do most, not all, of our animal encounters. And but these
Better
guys.
get used to the camera, buddy. Yeah, I get used to that. He's everywhere.
Guys, we have gift certificates for sale on our website. This makes a great gift certificate, and a lot of times we get kind of full during the summer. So if you got that gift certificate, you can go ahead and book your adventure for the summer, and it's a great thing to give as a gift. Could you imagine getting a cuddle session with these cute little guys as a gift? Come on, don't make a mistake. Get the easy gift.
And you can tell they hang on their own.
Gosh, she's huge.
I know, she suddenly looks so big. Yeah. We get some comments sometimes, about, I want to have one of these as a pet. We don't recommend having a sloth as a pet. I'm not saying that you can't do what we're doing. Most people don't understand what all goes into doing what we're doing. So sloths require very specialized diets. They require specific climate controlled enclosures. And we are basically around the clock animal care. And so some people, like for example, the sloths here, like we're right now we're up here at the house. You can tell that Tatum and I are hanging out here in front of the fireplace. Sloths require temperatures, and you're smart. You're in your t-shirt. I'm standing here in a hoodie right now. It's getting kind of warm, but that's for the sloths' benefit. They require temperatures of 78 plus degrees. 80 to 85 is a really good temperature for them. They do need to also have their humidity monitored, and some people think that, they're just going to get a sloth and they will bump their temperature down gradually and the sloth will acclimate. That is not true. A sloth can actually starve to death on a full stomach. So what happens is when their temperature is not maintained, it shuts down. They're not able to digest. And so that is a fact, that a sloth can actually starve to death on a full stomach if their temperature is not being maintained.
Donna, there's hundreds of more people than started out on there. So you might want to just start over with, here's Dash.
Yeah, so we are introducing everyone to the newest member of our family here at Ocoee Riverside Farm. Tatum has baby Dash right here. And both Dash and Zoe are two-toed sloths. I've got to stop calling Zoe baby Zoe. She had her big girl birthday this week. And now that we have Dash here, she suddenly seems huge to me. she seemed so little just a couple days ago. But Zoe came to us at the same age. Zoe was also really dark chocolatey, the way you see Dash is here now. As their adult hair starts to come in, this longer hair, they do start to get that blonde coming out in them. And so I would expect the same would be true with him. He's got his baby coat there right now. It's very soft for anybody that's wondering. It is just super, super, super soft. Dash was ready to go. In the sloth world, the mothers wean their babies. In the wild, the mother will actually leave the baby. So she will birth the baby hanging upside down in the tree that she has been living in. And that baby will nurse on demand, but the baby also starts eating solids as early as 4 days old. And so much different than a lot of other mammals who are strictly relying on mother's milk up until the time they are weaned. The sloth babies start eating solid foods from a very, very early age. And then when mamas are ready to wean those babies, they simply leave the baby in the tree that it was born in, and they move to another tree. And so we were contacted. Dash came to us from the same facility that Zoe here did. A gentleman by the name of Dr. Miller. He's a veterinarian who has been studying and working with captive breeding of sloths for over 30 years now. And he communicated to us that he had a mother that had weaned her baby, and he had Dash here ready to go. And so Dash has come to us. He is entirely on solids, his mother having weaned him, and he's ready to live out his best life here. He is going to get lots and lots and lots of love from not just us, but from our guests. However, it is limited. So just like Zoe and Flash, their encounters are limited to 1 hour a day. No, Finn. Finn's down here checking out the fireplace. Dash is not doing encounters right now. So if you're looking on our website for an encounter with Dash, you're not going to see that just yet. We're going to wait until he is has completed his quarantine and we feel like he's comfortable and ready for that. So that's coming in 2025. Right now we do have encounters with Zoe and with Flash.
But if they were wanting to gift for Christmas a
yes.
experience with Dash,
Absolutely.
they could get a gift certificate
Yes.
right now.
So if you wanted to get a gift certificate for someone to be able to have an encounter with baby Dash, which is going to be coming up here within the next month, you could absolutely do that on our website under Farm Shop. You could find a gift certificate and you could let your recipient know that you're gifting them an encounter where they'll get to come and interact and hold a baby sloth. Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to go ahead and tell lots of people where we're located?
We are in Benton, Tennessee. We are halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville, about 12 miles from the Georgia border. We've got people that come from all over. We just recently looked it up. We've had visitors from 37 different states and 15 different countries that have come to Ocoee Riverside Farm. You can come as a day guest or as an overnight guest. We have 8 different accommodations here on the farm. You can stay in a cabin, you can stay in a covered wagon, you can sleep in the barn with our horses, you can stay in a tiny house on the river, or if there's a large group of you, you can stay in the camel condo, which is the entire second floor of our exotic animal barn. It's got 5 bedrooms, 3 master suites, bunk rooms, but first you have to find them. The kids get to find them because they're hidden behind secret passageways and hidden doors with glass floors. that look down into camel and kangaroo stalls. There's a 23-foot blacklit tunnel with 5 recessed aquariums in the walls. There's a game room, PS5, virtual reality gaming center, tabletop Pac-Man. I hear Rio texting. So I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Oh, is that him?
Yes.
I thought somebody really was like going
Yeah,
hyperactive.
so if you hear that very loud texting sound, I don't know if she's gonna do it again.
It's a yellow nape Amazon.
Yellow named Amazon named Rio. And-
What's the coolest thing about the camel condo? Who do you get as a roommate?
Oh, so in the camel condo, these are 2 of our now 3 sloths. And inside the camel condo, the 2-story sloth enclosure that Flash lives in actually comes up through the living room floor in the camel condo. And so you are rooming with Flash, our adult male sloth, when you're staying in the camel condo. Do you hear Rio? Hi, Rio. Do you have any other questions?
Oh, you could talk about whatever you want. There's lots of people.
So these are I end up getting a lot of questions about babies on the farm. There's always questions about babies on the farm. There's always babies on the farm. It just depends on when you're visiting which babies you might see. So for example, right now we have the baby sloth here, Dash. We have a baby alpaca, a baby llama. We have a baby fennec fox, a baby 3-banded armadillo. We've got, you told me that we have 2 brand new sugar glider babies.
Gliders and micro squirrels.
And micro squirrels. So there's always babies on the farm. In the spring is usually when all the baby goats arrive.
Somebody wants to know specifically what's the difference between the VIP sloth encounter and the sloth snuggles encounter.
Okay, that's a fantastic question. Let me talk to you about the 3 encounters that are available right now. So when you're on our website, you're gonna see Sloth Encounter, and that is an encounter with our adult male sloth Flash. And so in that encounter, you're going to be in the enclosure with Flash. You're gonna get to see him, pet him, take selfies with him, hand feed him. And that is the sloth encounter. If you go to the other page called Sloth Snuggles, that is with baby Zoe, who is with me right here. I did it again. I called her baby Zoe. So Sloth Snuggles is with Zoe here. She's still not full grown. She just turned a year old. And when you do Sloth Snuggles, you are having a half-hour encounter here with Zoe, and you will have the opportunity to snuggle up with her. This is her place of choice. She likes to be hanging around your neck, cuddling up with you like this. So you'll have an opportunity to interact with Zoe. Yeah,
You gonna swap over?
Can't make her mind.
The VIP encounter, when you go back to that first page we were talking about, Sloth Encounter, when you upgrade your Sloth Encounter to a VIP encounter, it's essentially both of those encounters that I just mentioned. So you're going to do your half-hour encounter with Flash, and then that's going to be followed by your half-hour encounter with Zoe. And so when you upgrade to the VIP encounter, you're actually doing a 1-hour encounter with 2 different sloths. You're not going to find Dash on there just yet. He has just arrived. He's in a period of quarantine right now, as are all of our animals when they first arrive. And we want to be sure that he has a chance to get to know us and acclimate with us. But we just wanted to jump on here and give you guys an opportunity to see him and introduce him to you all. And his name is Dash. So our adult male sloth is Flash.
Hi.
And to meet and interact with Flash, that's the Sloth Encounter. Then this is our only female right now. Her name is Zoe. She's a year old.
No nibbles.
And she is the Sloth Snuggles. And then we've got Dash there, who is also a male.
What's another animal that they can bottle feed right now here?
So we have baby kangaroos on the farm right now, and a lot of people like to back that experience up with their sloth encounters because we've got 2 baby kangaroo bottle feedings each day. We start out with 4, but as the babies get older, they wean themselves down. So right now, the baby kangaroos can be fed at 9:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the evening. But when you do that 9:30 a.m. bottle feeding with the baby kangaroos, you can go straight from baby kangaroos from 9:30 to 10 into your sloth encounter, which starts at 10.
And the last thing while we're here, is there any huge animals we have to ride?
So we do have camels that you can ride. We've got Ed and Abu. And they were the start of the exotic animal barn. The barn had to be built in order to house those big camels. And you can actually see Ed and Abu through the glass floors of the camel condo when you're staying in the camel condo. But you can, another thing I always like to tell people, when you're coming to the farm, we have something called Farm Tour and Animal Encounter. We actually changed the name. So it used to just be called Farm Tour. And we had guest after guest after guest coming to us at the end and saying, oh my gosh, I started not to book this. I thought we were just going to be walking around looking at animals. I thought you were going to say, over there in that pasture are our camels, and over here we have some llamas. They said, we did not realize that we were going to get to see these animals, pet these animals, hold these animals, interact with these animals. So we changed the name to more accurately describe what it is that you're doing. It is a farm tour and animal encounter. When you are on that page, booking the farm tour and animal encounter, that's the best place to add things like pony rides, camel rides, because they're discounted, and they're discounted 50%. So you can come out to the farm and you can do standalone camel rides. You can do standalone kangaroo encounters. Kangaroo encounter is different than our kangaroo bottle feeding. That's with our 4 older kangaroos. You can do standalone pony rides, but you can also add all 3 of those things at a 50% discount. So I love you too, Rio. So when you add pony rides, camel rides, or kangaroo encounters to a farm tour, you can do so at 50% off. Hello, Rio.
All right, feel free to go ahead and tell everybody bye. We'll go ahead and see everybody here. We got, who are you?
Hi, I'm Tatum.
This is Tatum. This is Donna. Donna and John own the farm. This is Fallon.
This is Fallon's day off, but she came to meet Dash.
Who are you? This is John.
My day off.
There you go. We all came up to see the baby sloths.
Yeah.
All right, talk to y'all soon.
Right behind you. All right, y'all. So this is Flash. Flash is a 2-toed sloth. Let me show you the rules of the game here. This is Flash's food. This is not. He cannot see the difference between these two. His vision is horrible. So you put this one in his mouth. You do not put this one in his mouth. And you give him his food just like this. There you go. You're welcome to pet Flash like this. He does not like to be scratched like that. He likes to be just petted like this. He doesn't particularly like to be petted on the belly side. But you're welcome to pet him like this. And just don't scratch him like that. He doesn't like it. All right. So you are welcome to give Flash his breakfast. Flash is a sloth. Flash is a 2-toed sloth. Alive in the world today, there are 2-toed sloths and 3-toed sloths. Differences between them, they all have 3 toes on the back feet. 2-toed have 2 on the front. 3-toed have 3 on the front. A 3-toed sloth has more vertebrae in their cervical spine from their skull to their shoulders. So a 3-toed sloth turns his head 270 around like an owl, like that. A 3-toed sloth has 3 vertebrae of a tail. A 2-toed sloth like this has no tail. But they have the same number of vertebrae from end to end, so that means that the 2-toed has more vertebrae between his hips and his shoulders. So the 2-toed is going to turn around like a slinky. And if you take one of the pieces of food and you lead him around in a circle with it like this, you'll see how far that sloth can turn. Wait till he gets done chewing his last bite. You don't necessarily have to get it all in the first 5 minutes. But yeah, just lead him in a circle or don't.
Okay, I'll do it.
So and look how he can just like hardcore out there. He's super strong. He's got crazy core strength.
He's like, lady.
So he can turn until his hips are basically almost 180 out from his shoulders because he is very much like a slinky. So yeah, you can. So sloths are slow. Sloths are famously slow, but sloths are slow in ways you don't think about an animal being slow. So they are slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion. Slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They are slow in every way that an animal can be slow.
Gimme.
They're slow in their digestion. So a sloth. The first studies on how slowly a sloth digests its food, they put some 3mm glass beads into some sloth's food and just put some 3mm glass beads into some sloth's food and just waited to see how long it took them to come out. That was 61 to 64 days. So that was where they started out, thinking how long it takes a sloth to digest. No one seriously believes that anymore. These days most people would just tell you, boy, I cut that one kind of big. These days most people would tell you that a glass bead just doesn't move through a sloth system the way that, cut any other ones that big? Cut that one again. The glass beads don't move through a sloth system the way that food does. So the next time that they undertook to determine how slowly a sloth digests its food, they put some durable dye onto various types of food and wait to see how long it took the dye to come out the other end. And that worked out more in the 18 to 30 day range. So still crazy slow, but not anywhere near 60 days. So, man, he just swallowed that whole big chunk. Yeah.
Do they have any issues? I guess they don't. They stay upside down so long.
So his esophagus goes down and goes all the way around his stomach and then goes in.
Okay.
And though he doesn't have blood pressure issues, and nobody has really studied that a whole lot yet, but I can tell you they've studied giraffes, who you would suppose would have blood pressure issues at the brain level.
Yeah.
Because when a giraffe's head is all the way up, you know, it's 26 feet in the air, so that's tremendous blood pressure to blast the blood all the way up there.
Yeah.
Then when they go down to graze, they're going from from their heart level, they're going from plus 12 or 13 to minus 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So they ought to have a stroke every time they reach down to graze.
Yeah.
So the way that it works is they have this massive research system around their heart that has like basically a switch in their neck to the attitude of their head. And as their head goes down, this research system opens up, and it only affects like their carotid arteries basically. I don't know what they call the long arteries of a giraffe's neck, but basically their carotid arteries to maintain a constant pressure at their brain.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect the rest of their body. So Lord has designed some pretty crazy ways for animals to survive, and yet evolution was. When I was in school, you know, they change the books every time they print a new one because they figure out that they didn't know.
Yeah.
When I was in school, they used to tell you that a giraffe was descended from okapis just because they looked alike. And then DNA came along, and they're like, no, a giraffe is more closely related to a pig than an okapi. There's no overlap at all. And then they used to say that the giraffes had long necks because in a drought, the ones that were just a few inches taller would survive, and the ones that are just a few inches left would die out. That's what my high school science book said. And then some rascally creation scientist said, hey, wait a minute, all male giraffes are 2 feet taller than all female giraffes. So doesn't that mean they were extinct in a single generation after one drought?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, what had happened was... So anyway.
Let's rewrite that science.
How long did...
No one knows. So in the wild, of course, these are prey animals, so that what they die of is being caught by a predator. In captivity, and in the wild, they tell you that they think that a sloth lives somewhere around 20 years. In captivity, like most prey animals, they live much, much longer in captivity. So there are at least 3 that have lived to be 50 in captivity. But as far as a hard answer for this is how long they can live, not that many sloths have been captive for that long. But the guy that our baby sloth, Zoe and Dash, came from has been in sloth conservation and breeding for 30 years now. He has, both him and Jeremiah Teets, who's a breeder up in Michigan, have sloths that are 35 plus years old, females still reproducing. And while no one can say for sure that it's true of a sloth, it's true of other mammals that most female mammals don't reproduce in the last 1/3 of their life, 1/3 to 1/2. So that would suggest they could still live a whole lot longer.
Yeah.
So solid answer is nobody can tell you for sure, but long. So
Where's the majority of the sloth?
rainforest in Central America. So Honduras, Brazil, equatorial rainforest is where they are. Costa Rica, lots of them in Costa Rica. But that is the biggest threat to them right now is loss of environment. And not only loss of raw acreage of environment, but fragmentation of the environments that they live in, you know, spots that it's forest and it's not. And power lines running through their environments. So when they're going along one power line like a bird, they're fine, but when they reach over to the second one or to the pole, you know, fried sloth. And so, yeah, we do hope that as people come out to this encounter, they'll at least put some level of consideration into what they could reuse, reduce, recycle, and not use so much out of the rainforest. But sloths, slow in their digestion, but they eat tremendously much food. A sloth eats 10% of its body weight every single day.
Oh, wow.
So that's sort of a ho-hum number until you consider it in human perspective. I weigh 180. That would be me eating 18 16-ounce porterhouse steaks every single day. Or maybe 30 or 40 hamburgers every day.
Wow.
And yet the sloth goes to the bathroom only once in a week or 10 days, 3 or 4 times a month. And when they do go to the bathroom, they come all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, and go to the bathroom in the exact same place they always do. And by the by, this is not where the sloth lives. This is where he does his encounters. Where he lives is on the other side of this glass, and where he lives, he has 2 stories that go all the way up, and he has lots of trees and hammocks and places to lay, places to sleep, places to play, and everything else. He does not live in this kitchen. So if he is eating 10% of his body weight every day and goes to the bathroom only once in a week or 10 days, you might think that he would lose 100% of his weight when he goes to the bathroom. But he does digest his food and metabolize his food thoroughly. Just it's really low quality food, mainly leaves. Leaves are mainly cellulose. Cellulose is very not so nutritious and hard to digest. So the sloth, when he does go to the restroom, is going to lose about 1/3 of his body weight when he goes to the bathroom. So again, human perspectives, I'm 180. Little quick math that will leave you horrified on that one. So the sloth, he is entirely safe from predators when he's in the tops of the trees, with the exception of eagles. And what if it says a barn hard?
Auburn.
Why is Auburn barn?
It's kind of a play on the Alabama people, which my husband is, call them barners, because it's agricultural school.
Okay, all right.
And so this guy embraced it and made
Barn
Barner and Barnhard hats. So I figured
You ever
it was
heard of that one?
I'm not a
appropriate.
football person, so that's probably why I haven't heard. Yeah,
Barners, yeah.
I guess
But
it's
I
kind of
figured
like
that was appropriate for today.
it's kind of like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Huskers,
barn,
right?
yeah, there you go. So the
Almost
sloth,
to
he's
the end.
entirely safe from predators when he's in the tops of the trees, except with the exception of eagles, because he only weighs 15 pounds, so he can go way further out the branches than a predator that is large enough to threaten his life can go. So the sloth, yet he comes down the same tree, same side of the tree every single time to go to the bathroom. You tell him, Fallon, to get ready?
Okay.
Please, thanks. So same tree, same side of the tree every single time to use the bathroom. So the reason that he does that is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship, and you can stand a whole lot closer to him than that. You're welcome to stand right by him. There you go. So the reason why the sloth comes down the same tree, same side of the tree every single time they go to the bathroom is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So sloths need moths and moths need sloths in the wild, not in captivity. So in the wild, there is a type of moth called a sloth moth that lives nowhere in the world except in the fur and in the waste pile of a moth. The benefit in that relationship to the sloth is that the sloth digests his food by a bacterial process. We digest our food by an enzymatic process. If his bacteria colony dies out, which would be due to getting cold, he has no way to replenish it. So the source of the bacteria that helps him to digest his food is the moths. So as he grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the waste of the moths and a certain amount of the moths themselves. And that is where he replenishes his bacteria colony that goes all the way through his entire digestive system. Hello?
So do you keep a colony of moths to feed him? I guess?
Nope. In captivity, he doesn't need the moths.
Okay.
So we similarly have a helpful gut bacteria, not to the extent that he does, but we do. If we take a long course of antibiotics, that is what would kill off our gut bacteria. And we would fix that by either live culture probiotics from GNC or some good Greek yogurt. He has access to neither of those things in the rainforest. So that's why he has the moths that replenish him. In captivity, we don't ever let him get cold. Coldness is what would kill his bacteria colony. So a sloth's energy budget is so low that he cannot maintain his body temperature. So the daytime high in the rainforest is in the mid 80s, nighttime lows in the upper 60s, and his body temperature makes that range every single day, his core body temperature. If the sloth got down to about 55 core body temperature, that would kill the bacteria colony that's all the way through him, and 30 days later he would die of starvation with his stomachs all the way full of food. Because the same time that the same cold weather that killed the bacteria would also kill the moths, and it is a known fact that 30 days later he would die of starvation. And that is among the many reasons why it's not only a morally bad idea to buy a wild-caught sloth, but it's a financially bad idea to buy a wild-caught sloth, because that 1 week health guarantee isn't going to do jack for you 30 days later when it starves because it got cold in shipment, which you don't have any way to know if you got cold in shipment. But anyhow, so the sloth, that is how a sloth normally dies, is when he comes down the tree to relieve himself, he gets caught by a predator. But yet they do it, and they have to do it because that's the only way that their bacteria colony thrives. So the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the living environment of the moths, and she's going in there, and I'm blocking him from going through the door, which he's done twice in the last couple days. Well, he wants to go stay in a hotel instead of in his house. So the benefit to the moths is that the sloth is the living environment of the moths. The moths will live their whole life on the sloth. The food for the sloths is the moss and algae that grow in the sloth's fur. And the only reasons the moths will ever leave the sloth is to drink water that pools up in a leaf, up in the canopy, and to go into the waste pile to lay their eggs. So every time that he comes down the tree, there are new moths in the waste pile, because it's row, row, row your boat. The moths are on about a 7-day cycle, and the sloth is on a 7 to 10 day cycle. And so when he comes down this time, they lay eggs. The eggs from 1 week ago are now larvae. The eggs from 2 weeks ago are now moths. And the new moths go onto the sloth every time he comes down the tree. And in the wild, he's got about 150 moths living in his fur at any given time.
Does he eat them, or they just live
He
on?
does eat some of them, but
Okay.
just it's not so much that he's out to eat them, but he grooms himself, and when he does, he eats a certain amount of the waste of the moths and a certain amount of the moths themselves. They do give him some protein. And there's a in-depth in the weed study about exactly how beneficial the moths are to the sloth. And this study was based on the fact that 3-toed sloths have more moths on them than 2-toed sloths, because the 3-toed sloths with that little tiny tail get down into the poop, and they drill a little hole with their tail into the poop before they go. And since they are stirring the poo, that lets some of the larvae crawl up its tail, and the larvae get up onto the moth, as well as the up onto the sloth, as well as the moths flying up onto the sloth. So the moths are more dense on a 3-toed sloth than on a 2-toed sloth. And the study is examining their blood, and the 3-toed sloths have significantly higher peptids and leptids in their blood than 2-toed sloths do. And the peptids and leptids come from eating the moths themselves. And there's some weird studies going on right now. And you can get yourself pretty wrapped around the axle reading various sloth websites. because a lot of them give directly contradictory information. Some just because people will type websites just to type websites and try to get clicks on them. And for instance, I read a thing about trying to know how old your tortoise is, and it's like a 3-page website, and in the end of it, it says that their best suggestion is that you would write down what day your tortoise hatched, and then add 1 year to that every anniversary of that date. And I'm like, really? I spent 15
All
minutes
that
reading
time.
this website to find out you could just know what his birthday is and remember. I mean, thanks for that. Never would have occurred to anyone otherwise. And then there are other websites that are, they give information that is intended to drive human behavior, and that is that sloths hate to be touched, hate to be petted, hate to be held, and it's physically harmful for them, all of these things. And in the wild, I completely agree with that, 100%. They are 100% correct. And in Costa Rica, they are not specific about wild and not, because they don't want people taking sloths out of the rainforest, setting up a roadside stand, and getting tourists to stop and pet the sloth. And I completely agree that that's a horrible, terrible idea and harmful to the sloth. But these aren't wild sloths.
Right.
These are multiple generations captive bred. They do not have a biome living in their fur. And especially when you hold the next one over here, you will see that they are actively seeking human attention all of the time. This guy's room up here is 2 stories tall, and if he didn't want to come down the tree, I ain't climbing up to get him.
Yeah.
But the smears, most of these are on the other side of the glass, that if I'm late for 10 o'clock, he's rubbing his nose all over the glass. He's doing this one right here. You know, not a fastener.
Yeah.
Saying, hey fella, let's go. And boy, if a sloth is telling you to shake a leg, you gotta check your.
If I can get the light at my back, that'll be perfect.
Yeah, because otherwise her butt would be facing you, and
Yeah.
it's really dark that way.
Let's see how they both will go.
And watch your head on that chandelier. I've hit it like 10 times at least. Especially that damn little pointy part in the middle.
All right, they are both on. As I figure out this triple lock system that I just did. Good morning, everybody. This is Fallon and Zoe. Fallon is the human, and Zoe is the two-toed sloth there. And you guys are kind of getting an exclusive behind the scenes because we're not doing any encounters this morning. There's some this afternoon, but Fallon is feeding baby Zoe. Baby Zoe is a two-toed sloth, and I'm gonna let Fallon tell y'all what she's eating.
So Zoe eats twice a day, about 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. every 12 hours. And she eats a mixture of, let me give her a scoop here. She eats a mixture of brown rice, raw sweet potato that gets finely chopped, and a specific pellet that we soak so it's all really soft. There's nothing hard in here for her to chew on. Zoe does have teeth, and sloths are born with teeth, but they don't necessarily like hard food, or especially a baby. So that is her little mixture that she eats. Yum, yum, delicious. Doesn't it make you hungry? Very bland, but she obviously loves it. And then she also eats spinach leaves throughout the day when we're doing encounters. Sometimes we'll give her spinach leaves so that way guests can feed her a little snack throughout the day. But she definitely eats a lot when she does eat. Hi, Zoe.
Guys, can you hear her little smacking sounds that she's making? It's like ASMR for animals.
I always laugh because if it was a person making those noises, we would get so irritated. But when an animal does it, it's so cute. It's like, aw.
Yeah, it would be like, why don't you have any manners?
Yeah.
Guys, we are located in Benton, Tennessee. We're halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. We are open to the public. We have over 125 animals here, and we have a bunch of different kinds of lodging. If you've ever wanted a sloth for a roommate, you can do that here. That would be the camel condo. So that means you get to have Flash for a roommate, and then you can look down and see the camels. You can also see baby kangaroos.
Very cute.
Very cute. And they're very soft. And guess what? If you've ever wanted to bottle feed them, you can do that here. It's really cool. And we're probably going to have more baby kangaroos soon because our adult male out there is making some red marks on people. So I think he's trying to be a dad out there.
Yeah. I think the kangaroos smell good, especially the babies, because they're being bottle fed, so their little faces smell like formula, which smells really sweet. And so after I get done bottle feeding, I get really close to their little faces and smooch on them, and they just smell so good. Zoe doesn't really have a smell, so I wish I could send you some smell-o-vision, but there's not much to send. Zoe, she does not need bathed. I think she's maybe had one bath just to kind of clean her up because she got a little bit messy one time. But sloths do groom themselves, and so we don't need to bathe her. She stays really clean. And same with our adult sloth. I don't think he's ever, or we've never bathed him that I'm aware of either. And so they just don't have a smell. I don't think they do.
No, they smell really, really good. It's like nothing almost. Mm-hmm. And she is correct. Baby Zoe has really only had 1 or 2 baths, and that's because she kind of went potty on herself.
She's still a baby.
Because she's a baby. But Flash, his hair is a little bit more coarse, but he still doesn't smell like anything, doesn't stink. Hey, Drake, she is almost 1 year old. Mm-hmm. So baby Zoe's birthday, I believe, is December 16th. Is that right?
That's what I'm aware of. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead and write them. This is normally something that we would reserve for subscribers, but we're kind of doing a little bit of a teaser here because we don't have anything going on this morning. But the animals still got to eat. So this is what we're going to be doing every day, whether we're doing an encounter or not. How much does she weigh? I think
approximately 7, maybe going on 8 pounds now. She just had her, in the wild, they would go poop approximately every 2 weeks, but we're feeding them more in captivity, and so they poop a little bit more often, not too much. So she goes poop about every 7 to 10 days, and she just had her poop 2 days ago. And so she is back to her normal, or close to her normal weight, or after poop weight, her little slim down, but about 7 to 8 pounds. A full adult's going to be between 14 and 16 pounds. But towards the end of her poop cycle, before she's gone, she definitely gets a lot heavier. I want to say like 10 pounds in that range.
Hey, Neil. This is a 2-toed sloth. Good question. All sloths have 3 digits on their hind limbs, but on their forelimbs, they have 2 for ours. And they're changing that to probably be more of 2-fingered because it's really like they have front arms and back legs.
Yeah, she definitely uses... Well, I saw her the other day. She used her back leg to scratch her back. So she reached her back leg all the way around like a Gumby arm and was scratching her own back. And I was like, how are... But yeah, they're very twisty, bendy.
How long do sloths sleep every day?
Majority. Short answer is a lot. So she will eat for about half an hour is about how long it takes her to eat in the morning and in the evening. And other than that, she's sleeping. She'll do about an hour of encounters. So she only has a half hour of encounters today, which is 1 person. And so that would be her busy day, a total of an hour of encounters a day would be a busy day for her. The rest of the time she's sleeping. And typically during her encounter, she takes a nap. So she's eating, sleeping. Once every 7 to 10 days she poops. And that is it. I think it's always a little funny when we have encounters with our adult sloth, Flash, and older kids can do encounters with him and feed him. And their question is, well, what does he do? Can he do anything? Does he do any tricks? Or, what does he do? I'm like, well, this is it. He's a sloth. They don't really do a whole lot. They don't really play. Last night when I was feeding her play was bending around backwards and kind of reaching around for things as I was sitting here on the couch after I fed her. But that's her play, and that lasted about 5 minutes, and she's done and then ready to go to bed. So there's not a whole lot of playtime with these guys. They are also solitary animals, and so play for them is enjoying their meal and then taking a nice little nap.
Hey, Darby. All the details for the ages for the different ones are on the website. The website's SequoiaRiversideFarm.com, and the link to that is in the bio. Somebody wanted to know, what do you think's faster? I'm going to answer this. Turtles or sloths? So,
I think I know.
I'm going to say sloths because there's no way that a turtle could climb a tree.
Well, but just if you compared apples to apples of the mode of transportation, because turtles are on the ground. So if you had a sloth and a turtle side by side on the ground, which one's going to be faster?
Well,
what is your vote?
It depends if there's a tree.
No tree, just apples to apples here.
Just on the ground?
On the ground. Who's going to win?
Probably the turtle.
The turtle. Now, a turtle can't climb a tree, so of course the sloth's going to be faster there. But yeah, you have a ground animal and then you have a tree animal, so they're very different.
Yeah. But maybe we'll have a race one day. We can set up like a betting pool, see what. No, just joking, guys. We're not doing any illegal sports betting on animals, and if we were, we'd be shut down for being dumb.
But on the ground, the turtle would definitely win, the tortoise.
And definitely in the water. That's why I was like, hey, they have the water advantage.
Yeah, that's right. Then you have the turtles, like soft shell turtles and things like that. They're
fast.
Real fast.
They're really fast.
In the water, yeah.
I mean, everybody's seen Finding Nemo, and they see how fast turtles are. Mm-hmm. And they kind of talk like a old Bob Marley or something.
I just envision all turtles sound like that now.
They do.
Hey, man.
That's what he sounds. Have you never watched Nemo?
Yes.
Okay, I was like.
Yeah. That's why I like, hey, man,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah.
Radical. Catch some waves.
So what is Zoe eating out of your hand there?
So Zoe gets her own little custom blend here that's recommended by her vet, which is cooked brown rice, raw sweet potato that's shredded and then finely chopped on top of that, and then a pellet that gets soaked in warm water so it's nice and mushy. And then we make a big mash out of it. So if you can look in her little bowl here, I just made a fresh batch for her last night. But it's just kind of like a brown rice soft mix. And she eats this twice a day. I think she's coming up on getting full, or she's kind of slowing down a little bit now. But she has always eaten like this. When Donna is here, this is how Donna has always fed her. And she has always been hand-fed like this. So she's very used to being on people, being fed by people, and really enjoys being with people too. She gets very excited when I come here in the morning to come feed her and just to come sit with her. And same thing in the evening when I come back. And all of her encounters too, she really enjoys being held by people and just being snuggled. I don't want to say socializing because she doesn't do anything. She just lays on you and snuggles, and she really does enjoy that.
And what's that infernal racket that we hear in the background?
That is Rio. We have an Amazon parrot in the house. And so that is, every morning when I come in the house to come feed Zoe, I hear a, hello, hello. And if you don't respond, she'll just keep saying hello until you do. And then she'll say that she loves you. So it's, I love you. Are we done now? Yeah, I figured you were kind of slowing down. So when she's done, she'll just crawl right back up here. So that's her little, I'm done. There we go. And that's it. Then she goes back to sleep mode. Eat mode and sleep mode. Or snuggle for now, since we're up here talking. But it's really cute. So when she gets done eating, she kind of like, like smacks her mouth like that, and you can hear her little front teeth grinding, and it sounds like, I would say it sounds like rubber kind of like rubbing against each other, so it's kind of like a little squeak noise. And that's the only sound that sloths don't make noises or sounds. And so about the only noise that you get out of her is her moving her mouth or smacking when she's eating. And then that's it. That's it. There's no other noises. That is it. What do you think, Zoe?
And guys, you can really see that she's kind of that pear-shaped right now. She's getting close to the end of her bathroom time, so she's going to drop 30% of her body weight. So to give you guys an idea, if you weighed about 200 pounds and you lost 60 pounds each time you went to the bathroom, that is what baby Zoe is doing. If you have any questions, feel free to write them. This is a kind of an exclusive behind the scenes, like how we feed the animals. And this is what we'll be doing for all the subscribers here soon. And we'll still do it on our regular channel also.
And so when you book an encounter with Zoe, this is what it looks like when you hold her. Exactly. So if you've ever wanted to hold and snuggle a sloth, which surprisingly, there's a lot of people that cry when they come and do an encounter with Zoe, or even our adult sloth. You can't hold him. He's not a fan of that. But since Zoe was raised by people from a very, very young age, she really enjoys being held just like this. And a surprising amount of people cry when they hold Zoe for the first time. And I was like, you make me cry. I get teary-eyed every time because it's just so sweet. But this is exactly what it looks like to snuggle Zoe, and you can book that here at Ocoee Riverside Farm. And come snuggle the little baby. We are going to be getting a new baby sloth here soon. I don't know the exact date, but it is coming up. So Zoe's not going to be the only baby anymore. Mwah. She's almost a year old now, so she's growing up.
No, I am not Theo Vaughn. I guess my voice sounds like I'm to a bunch of people.
Oh, really?
They said, is that Theo Vaughn or something like that? No, my name's Kevin. Theo Vaughn is hilarious, though.
He is. He says the most off-the-wall things.
I love it.
I'm like...
It's like the magic 8-ball of comedy. That's what I always say.
Baby girl.
Hey, Shirley, I don't think Zoe will be too jealous. There's enough people around here to give her lots of loving.
Oh, yeah.
The main reason also we're having another sloth is we keep Zoe's encounters down to a minimum. A lot of people that you see, they kind of pass around the sloth, and we don't do that because we want the animals to enjoy their being here, right? So they're not, having a hard life. They get to relax and just live the dream. Where are we? We are in Benton, Tennessee. We're halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. Yes, you can visit. You just need to book everything online. And we do have lodging here also. So we have lodging for up to almost 40 people. Some people have had weddings here. We do field trips, a nice pavilion for corporate events. It's just a great area. And not only here on the farm, which is 30 acres, but all around the area. We have the Ocoee River, which held the 1996 Olympics. Just up the road is the Hiwassee River. And then we have lookouts and rivers. Lots of places to go hike.
It's beautiful. The river is really gorgeous. So the property that we have here butts up against the Ocoee River. And the glamping wagons are on the river, the cabins on the river, so you can book all of those. But the river is so clear. You can see all the way down to the bottom, and the trees and logs that are underneath the water. I was really surprised. I'm used to Florida rivers, which look like tea water, and they're just so, not brown, like muddy brown, but just a clear brown tea color. And so when I got up here, I was like, well, this river is really gorgeous and really clean, and it's so clear. It's very gorgeous. I can't wait till summertime to be able to jump in that water because it looks amazing.
It's not that cold. Just go jump in.
Yeah, right. It's okay. It's only 30 degrees here. It'll be all right.
Just make a fire or try to burn down a wagon. There'll be big flames.
No biggie.
Someone asked again where we were. So we are in Benton, Tennessee, which is kind of hard to see on a map. Google will hook you up. But we're halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. The link to our website is in our bio for everything. There's also a map there, and you can book everything that you need and look around and see some stuff. And there's a lot more videos on all of our social media. And that's including like little tours of the wagons, the cabin, the camel condo. And right now on one of the other social medias, the old FB, we are live streaming from the cameras around the farm.
Zoe's little face. So she's doing that little smack. What'd you think? Oh, sweet girl.
All right, guys, I'm going to head back down to the barn, and Flash is out, and we're going to do kind of a similar thing with Flash. We will be back live here in just a moment. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
So other differences, a three-toed sloth has more vertebra in its cervical spine between its skull and its shoulders, and they have 3 vertebrae of a tail, three-toed sloth. Two-toed sloth has fewer in its cervical spine from its skull to its shoulders and no tail, so it's got like 5 extra between its hips and its shoulders. So a three-toed sloth will turn its head 270 like an owl. A three-toed sloth, let me show you, will turn his whole body like a slinky. Hey, Flash, come here, buddy. So you'll see that he can turn until his shoulders are basically 180 out from his, oh, they got a hold of food. He can turn till his hips are basically 180 out from his shoulders. Almost. And he's very much like a slinky. And he also is crazy strong. If you hold a piece of food way out here, you'll see how he will just lean straight out to it without even moving his feet. He'll be like a gymnast standing out sideways from a pole. Well, like out this way. You see how he has to see it though. His vision is horrible.
Did they see
So
a
hold it
color?
way.
Or black
No,
and
no
white?
color.
Okay.
Hold it way out here, and he'll
He's
lean
grabbing
his
for
body
it.
all the way out. You'll see how far he's gonna lean. Oh, maybe
cheating.
he won't.
He's cheating. There you go.
Oh well, he can do his body, so his body stands all the way over like this. He can just about get his nose to there, and without grabbing anything else, because he's crazy strong. For his body mass, he's crazy strong. Per gram of muscle tissue is 3 or 4 times stronger than a human per gram of muscle tissue. Obviously not stronger overall because he only weighs 15 pounds. Yeah. But per gram of muscle tissue, he's crazy strong. So the three-toed sloths also are the ones that look like they are permanently smiling. Two-toed do not. And I forgot to tell you the other caution. Because his vision is horrible, he literally cannot see the difference between this and this. So this one you put in his mouth, this one you don't. Because his vision is horrible, he literally cannot see the difference between this and this. So this one you put in his mouth, this one you don't. He has his eyes are characterized by rod monochromacy, meaning he has all rod cells, no cone cells. So he sees only in grayscale all the time. So you can't see any color difference between those. And even in this level of light, you see how his pupils are about the size of pinpricks right there.
Constricted.
So he's pretty much looking around like this, so he really doesn't see the difference between the food and your finger. And he never has bit anyone, but we always tell people don't put your fingers in his mouth. True of all the animals on the farm. Don't put your fingers in my mouth either. You never know how that would go. So that's the basic differences between the 2- and 3-toed sloths. But then after that, sloths are slow. Sloths are famously slow. Sloths are slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They are slow in every way that an animal can be slow. So slow in their movement. If you read online, it will tell you that a sloth can only move 6 to 8 feet per minute. That is obviously not true in my experience. His inside up there is 25 feet high. And I've seen him go from the top of his inside down through the door to the top of his outside in 30 seconds. Really? So that would be something more like 50 feet per minute. So it could be that they're talking about a 3-toed sloth. I don't have any of those. I've not experienced any of those. But a 2-toed sloth is a good bit quicker than that. And if you read different information about sloths on different websites, Yeah. So much of it is directly contradictory that you just leave yourself in wonder. And so anyhow, they are slow. I mean, even at 50 feet per minute, you're talking about what, 1/3 of 1 mile per hour, something like that. If you give it to him in his hand, he's just going to drop it, and we don't feed him off the floor. So slow in their movement, slow in their digestion. The first studies on exactly how slowly a sloth digests its food, they put some 3mm glass beads into some sloth's food and just waited to see how long it took them to come out. And that was between 61 and 64 days. Oh, wow. So that was where they started out thinking that's how slowly a sloth digests its food. No one seriously believes that anymore. It just seems that glass beads don't move through a sloth the same way that food does. And this is going to last about 20-30 minutes, and when he runs out of food, he's far less interested in you, so you can meter it out a little bit if you like.
So when's the last time was he caught?
Oh, he free feeds all night long.
Oh, okay.
But no, he's a chow hound. He loves to eat. He's like me. And speaking of that, sloths eat crazy much food. They digest really slowly. So we were saying their first idea was 61 to 64 days. Further studies where they dyed the food shows it to be more like 18 to 30 days, depending primarily on what the sloth ate. So their primary food is leaves. Leaves are almost all cellulose. Cellulose is hard to digest. So cellulose would be more towards the 30 days end of that scale. Fruits and veggies would be more towards the 18 days end of that scale. But they have a multi-chambered, very complex stomach. Their esophagus comes up and goes all the way around their stomach and then goes into their stomach, which is sort of like a check valve since they always hang upside down so their food doesn't come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, very complex, their stomachs. But they eat crazy lot of food. So they eat 10% of their body weight every single day. And the contradictory information on sloths, it also tells you that sloths can survive on 2.5 grams of food per day, but that's not their choice. So sloths eat 10% of their body weight every single day. That's sort of a throwaway number until you put it to human perspective. So I weigh 180, so me eating 10% of my body weight every single day would be like 18, 16-ounce porterhouse steaks every single day, or 30 or 40 hamburgers, depending on who fixed them, or 5 or 6 large pizzas every single day. And yet, they go to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month, every 7 to 10 days. So when they are in the tops of the trees, they are entirely safe from predators. The only thing that can get them in the tops of the trees are eagles, because they're really light, so they go way out to the ends of the branches for 2 reasons. One, they eat the softest leaves at the end of the branches, the older leaves back up the branches. As leaves get older, the cellulose walls of the leaves get stronger, and it's even harder to digest eating old leaves than fresh green leaves. And when they're way out on the ends of the trees, the big cats such as jaguars are too heavy to get out to the ends of the branches to get them. And if the cat pressed the issue to the point that the sloth fell, that the branch broke and they both fell out of the tree, the slinky-like sloth would survive an 80 to 100 foot drop onto the rainforest floor, not onto concrete. And the cat would not. And the sloth would look over the cat's dead body and go, ha, ha,
I won.
ha, and back up the tree he would go.
Right.
So anyway, even though they're safe in the tops of the trees and the normal cause of death for a sloth is coming down the tree to go to the bathroom and being caught by a predator, they come down the tree, same side of the tree every single time and go poop on the same pile they always go on. So there's got to be a good reason for that, right? Yeah. Because logically, he ought to just let it rip from the top of the trees and remain safe. There's no other reason for him to come down to the floor of the rainforest. Yeah. Right. And that is how almost all sloths die. And so when he comes down the tree to go to the bathroom, it is due to the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. Symbiotic meaning beneficial to both sides, where parasitic would mean beneficial to one side, neutral or harmful to the other side. So when the sloth comes down the tree, the reason is that when he gets to the bottom, he gets his hindy right to the ground, and if you're wondering how a sloth goes poop, you can back up a few days in our Facebook and find the poop dance of the sloth, where we made a video of him coming down to go to the bathroom. And So the reason he does it is when he comes down and goes to the bathroom, he's got somewhere between 150 and 300 moths living in his fur if he was wild at any given time. And the moths jump or fly down off of the sloth into the poop, lay their eggs, and get back on the sloth or die in the poop. And it's basically row your boat. So the moths that laid the eggs 2 times ago, well, 1 time ago are now larvae, 2 times ago are now moths. The newest moths jump up onto the sloth, and they live their whole life on the sloth.
Oh, wow.
The moss and algae in the sloth's fur are the food source for the moths, and the benefit to the sloth is that the sloth digests its food to the point of absorbability by a bacterial process, not by an enzymatic process like we do. So we do have helpful gut bacteria. Our bacteria colony lasts for all of our life, unless we do one thing, and that is long course antibiotics. If you take antibiotics for a long time, you need either some good yogurt or some probiotics from GNC that you can boost your healthy gut bacteria back up. The sloth doesn't have a GNC in the forest, and his bacteria colony comes from the moths. So a sloth's energy budget is so low because they metabolize poor food very slowly, but their energy budget is so low that a sloth cannot maintain its body temperature. So that's the 3-banded Brazilian armadillo.
He finally came out.
Yeah, him and the sloth are roomies. But he likes to run. So armadillos, the Brazilian 3-banded armadillos, love to eat ants, and so he's running around sniffing the floor, seeing if there might be an ant anywhere. Guess he likes hiking boots too. Those are some good-looking boots. What brand are those?
Columbia.
Columbia, yeah.
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 When I hiked the Appalachian Trail, I wore Solomon's, the mid-top Solomon boots that feel just about like tennis shoes, but go like boots.
Yeah.
But man, they wear out fast.
Do they? I'm thinking maybe possibly something, because they feel they're too comfortable.
Yeah. The Solomons, they were great boots. It's like boots that feel like tennis shoes. But hiking the Appalachian Trail, you go through a pair in 45 or 60 days. I mean, utterly shot in that period of time. But anyway, the sloth, so he eats a crazy amount of food. When he goes to the bathroom, he loses 30% of his body weight, or 1/3 of his body weight, in a single trip to the bathroom. I recently weighed the baby sloth the day before and the day after she pooped. She was 8.4 pounds before, 6.3 pounds after. So 2.1 pounds different. So her natural body weight is 6.3. 2.1 is 1/3 of 6.3. So she literally lost 1/3 of her weight when she went to the bathroom. So it's not a hypothetical number, that's real. So again, throwaway number until you put it to human perspectives. I weigh 180, so if I was going to go to the bathroom and lose 1/3, that would be me dropping 60 pounds in one trip to the bathroom. We would be redesigning the plumbing systems of America if people dropped 1/3 of their weight when they went to the bathroom.
Absolutely.
So they're slowing their digestion, slowing their metabolism. So their metabolic rate is really slow. They metabolize their food very thoroughly but very slowly. So if he eats 10% of his body weight every day and goes 10 days between trips to the bathroom, that's 100% of his body weight that he's eaten between trips. He poops and pees at the same time. He doesn't go even pee in between trips down the tree. So that means he is metabolizing 2/3 of what he eats, but still, big pile. So their metabolic rate is so low that they cannot maintain their body temperature. They are a warm-blooded animal, but their body temperature will be whatever the outside air temperature is, similar to a cold-blooded animal. So in the rainforest, daytime highs in the middle 80s, nighttime lows in the upper 60s, and his body temperature will make that range every day, which is fine for him in the rainforest. But as they lose habitat and they're having to go out to places where there's not a solid canopy and the temperature can change more, that's dangerous for them. And as the illegal pet trade makes people think it'd be a good idea to have a sloth, you end up with a lot of dead sloths.
Yeah.
So if a sloth gets too cold, it will kill it. But it won't die directly of the cold. I mean, unless it got down to like freezing or something.
Yeah.
But if its core body temperature gets down around 55, that will kill the bacteria colony that lives all the way through the sloth. And in captivity, if he doesn't have moths on him, he has no way to replenish that bacteria colony. When he grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths themselves and a certain amount of the waste of the moths. And that's where his helpful bacteria colony comes from. In captivity, if you don't know what you're doing, if his bacteria colony dies, 30 days later he'll die of starvation, even though he's eating like he always eats and is entirely full of food, because he cannot digest the food to the point of absorbable. So yeah, there's a lot to know to keeping a sloth. We do not recommend anyone keeps a sloth as a pet. It's not illegal, but it's a bad idea unless you're prepared to invest, 6 figures into a sloth environment and quite a bit into the sloth itself, and you know how to be careful not to buy a wild caught sloth that someone has imported and is selling and saying, oh yeah, this is cute. There's bad idea. But anyhow, we very much are concerned for the sloths in the wild, but these are not wild sloths. These are many generations captive bred.
Okay.
Now the difference between this one and the other one, this one was captive bred, but he wasn't people oriented from birth, the way that the other one is. That thing just tore up my sock.
Oh.
So while the sloth is perfectly happy with us and he gets this close to us and he'll lay his face right against my face and his shoulder against my shoulder,
Right.
he has never made any move to move onto my body.
Yeah.
Because it's not something that would be natural to him, because he was in a static display for 2 years before we had him. So he's perfectly friendly, he likes me, he hangs out with me, but he's never made a move to move onto my body, so
Right.
we don't force the issue.
No, right.
I've never taken hold of his arm and tried to put him onto me, or taken hold of him and tried to grab him. We are perfectly happy for him to interact with us in the way that he is comfortable with, and that is fine. And so anyway, slowing their digestion, slowing their metabolism, slowing their metabolic processes, so they grow really slowly. From birth, the mother sloth also has a very low energy budget, so they cannot make milk for more than about 6 weeks. Some as short as 3 weeks, others as long as 6 weeks. But they, if he's bothering you, I'll put him away.
No, he's fine.
Okay.
He's good.
Some as short as 3 weeks, others as long as 6 weeks. But they are done nursing their babies by 6 weeks. That doesn't mean they're done with the baby. The mother's job after that is to teach the baby how to find and eat food. So don't tear up my socks. There's no ants in there. Yeah, that in there is his dirt box that he crawls down and digs in for bugs. So we sprinkle that with various different bugs for him to naturally forage for his food. And he has a wonderful time at it. But we try to use foraging food behaviors for all of them. So like this guy, he gets his breakfast from us, but then we hide food around his environment for him to go around and look for. So, and like that guy's the Coatamundi, and he has shelves all over the place, and we put food in various places for him too. So anywho, the sloth, looking at his physical characteristics, his nose is always wet. That is the only place on his body he can sweat from. And when he eats fruit, his face is just a mess with how wet his nose gets. So again, if you scroll back in Facebook and look for Mango Day, it's the cover picture is him with a mango plastered all over his entire face.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny. He goes kind of ape over a mango.
Wow.
And but you can't give him too much fruit, because similar to a baby getting too much sugar and then getting thrush, you'll send his bacteria colony into overload, overdrive, whatever. So his teeth, he has big, sharp teeth, and his teeth grow throughout his life. He has no enamel on his teeth because he lives in the rainforest for 20 plus years and he has no toothbrush. So his teeth grind against each other like this and sharpen continuously throughout his life. So it's kind of like rodent teeth that they grow for all of their life. They don't get replacement teeth, but their teeth grow forever. The sloth does have ears. A lot of people don't realize that a sloth has external ears. They are right here. his ears proportional to his head are just as big as our ears proportional to our heads. And because his sense of vision is very poor, his smell and his hearing are absolutely wonderful. So for better or worse, the sloth knows what I sound like and he knows what I smell like. So when we walk in and talk to him, and lately he seems to like Tony more than he likes me. So Tony's usually in the kitchen in the morning here, and the sloth comes down to him. And this is Tony over here. If you're the online audience that haven't seen Tony before, Tony's the farm manager. And so anyhow, the sloth knows what we smell like, he knows what we sound like. And if the staff is in here, the sloth comes straight down to come to us. And his normal encounter time is, if the staff is in here, the sloth comes straight down to come to us. And his normal encounter time is 10 o'clock and 10:30. And usually if the door isn't open by 9:50, all these smears on the other side are him with his nose in the window and his finger going, saying, hey, come on, it's time, y'all, let's go. Shake a leg. Brother needs his breakfast. And so he's not being forced to do anything here that he doesn't want to do. And he only does 2 encounters a day. So, he's not like one of these places that has a sloth out booked every 10 minutes for 8 hours of the day, and it's not here. So the other things about a sloth, his claws, the last bone of his finger is inside of that claw. The last knuckle of his phalanges are completely inside of the claw. And so you have to know what you're doing. If you have to groom the sloth's claws, we don't have to here with him, because we keep trees that still have the bark on the trees, so his claws wear down in a natural way instead of having to take a Dremel to him. And he's been here 3.5 years, and his claws have remained the right length just because we put the right trees in there. And this humidity in there stays, 50, 60, 70% all the time, so that keeps the bark on the trees better. And that's what he needs anyway, is that high of humidity. So see, he's like about to doze off. He's like, oh, belly's full.
Nap time.
Nappy people. And so sloths also are crazy strong. Some people are starting to call these 2-fingered, 3-fingered instead of 2-toed, 3-toed, because it is more like they have 4 arms and no legs than 4 legs and no arms. Obviously, he's never going to walk on the ground like a dog. And he uses all 4 of his feet like hands in the same manner, to the extent that he can use them like hands. Obviously, he has no opposable thumbs. But the way that his hands are like slip joint pliers, that they can grasp a wide variety of diameters of things. So if you look in his environment in there, about where the tree turns and goes up right there, if he's below that, he'll lumberjack it like this. If he's above that, he can grasp with one claw, front or back, even something as big around as that. And then up at the top, he can grasp with one hand and hang from something about the size of my thumb, which I think we're going to do the baby sloth upstairs, so you'll be able to better see what his environment looks like from upstairs here in a minute. And but crazy strong, as in he can do a 1-arm pull-up by any of his 4 arms and then hang there for a long time. But the hanging there for a long time isn't a matter of strength, it's a matter of design. So for us as people, our stress or exertion state is this. If we were going to try to hang from that bar, we could remember from PE class many years ago that a minute is a long time to do a 2-arm hang. He can hang there for days. In fact, if he died, he wouldn't necessarily fall. He would continue to hang there until something rotted, or until this little guy is very interactive this morning. So he would continue to hang there until something knocked him out of the tree, or until something rotted or broke. But and the reason for that is that our stress state is this, our relaxed state is that. He's the opposite. His relaxed state is this, and his stress state is that. So if you see him reach out for something, he reaches out slowly and snaps back on it. Because this is return to relax. This is exertion, return to relaxed. And so he's exerting no energy at all to hang from that tree, and he could hang there for days. Baku, what do you need, buddy? What do we want, buddy? This is Baku. Baku is a 3-banded armadillo, so he's the only one that closes up completely into a perfect ball like that. That's the way Baku closes up. And the reason his name is Baku is like Bakugan, the toys that kids my kids' age
Yep.
used to have. They
Collapse
close up
into a
like
ball.
that and then bump, open up. And then when he's coming out, oh, now he's like, why did you pick me up? I was trying to eat your feet. But when he opens up, he just jumps out like a Bakugan.
Yeah.
And because I was in high school in the 80s, when I get another one, it's going to be named Shaka Khan. So he's a boy. When we get a girl, it's going to be named Shaka Khan. And I'm saying I need to get a little intro music for the animals when I'm on a farm tour. And here's Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan. And the little baby llama down there, I think we're going to name Dude. And his entry music would be, Dude looks like a lady.
Perfect.
I started to say Tyler, like Steven Tyler,
Steven
like
Tyler,
Dude
yeah.
looks like a lady, but I'm like, it's a little too many steps to get from Tyler to Dude looks like a lady. Better just Dude looks like a lady. So, yeah. So, did you guys have any questions about sloths I didn't talk about today?
You covered pretty much everything. Oh my
That
goodness.
was a lot of information.
Yeah.
So, part of the reason that we do this, one is we love sloths, two is to encourage the world in conservation. So, we believe that if you... Bakugan, eating my Sakagans. So, hey Baku, there's a bug.
Go get the bug.
Get
There
the
it
bug,
is.
Baku.
See if they'll eat that.
Go get him, Baku. Bug's gonna get away, Baku.
Come on. He's gonna find it.
Oh,
There he
yeah,
goes.
There it goes. No.
No.
He's distracted by
He
your
likes
The
sock.
sock.
Yeah, why is he all about my socks today? I don't know. So,
So it's
We-
very interesting that
we have a bunch of animals that eat bugs here. So these are mealworms, and these are waxworms, and these are black fly larvae, and these are, I don't remember what these are, and I don't have my reading glasses on. Oh, more black fly larvae. And then we have superworms and crickets and all whatnot. So wide variety of bugs. Who'd ever thought I'd be buying bugs, right? I used to be all happy when we lived in Virginia that in Virginia you can buy any pesticide you want. There's pesticide stores, the same stuff that the exterminators use.
yeah,
And now you
it's just the opposite.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
now you have to write a letter to the governor to have a can of Zepro or Zenpro or whatever it is.
Crazy.
Zenprox.
He's gonna reach out.
What's more rare, the two-toed or the three-toed? Which one?
Three-toed. So the two-toed sloths are not endangered. So exotic doesn't mean endangered. It doesn't mean rare. It just means not from here. So we have an awful lot of not from here animals, but we don't have endangered animals here.
Okay.
There are a couple of places in America that are working on having three-toed sloths in America. The biggest challenge to it is their diets. And you know, there's two schools of thought on conservation. We, of course, think that conservation means educating the public and people caring about exotic animals, and therefore caring how much they throw away and how much they waste. And you know, maybe we could think differently about how much stuff we waste. And also, in my personal opinion, there are animals that could have been saved from extinction if there were captive populations. And I think rhinos are a pretty good example that had there not been captive rhinos, there would be no rhinos in the world anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that the rainforest is being destroyed so quickly, and so many sloths are right now being electrocuted from climbing up poles and across power lines. And you know, of course, they climb along one power line, everything's golden, but as soon as they reach to the second one, zang, and that is as much a cause of death for sloths in the wild right now as deforestation is climbing on power lines and getting electrocuted. And a horrible way for them to go too.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
But so anyway, we think that there being more larger populations with a wider genetic diversity in zoos hither and yon would prevent even, you know, eventual extinction of the animals. And we absolutely do not support or condone taking animals out of the wild, but these animals are many generations captive bred. So, like for me personally, I am one generation removed from outhouses and no indoor plumbing and no refrigeration. And I don't want to back up the one generation to that, even though you might argue that was my natural state. And I certainly don't want to go back to living in a cave or a teepee or something if you call that my natural state as a wild human. And I think that if our sloths could speak and you ask them, would you rather be loved and cared for and have a lifespan of 50 plus with love and attention every single day, or live in the rainforest crawling with bugs and being hunted by jaguars for every day of your life?
Yeah.
I think they might choose this way. But there are people who are vehemently against what we do. And we do get some haters online. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I think we've had 50 million hits on various social medias, and you're going to get a certain amount of haters when that many people look at it. But what can you do?
Can't please everyone.
Well, and when they comment on our stuff, we don't hide, delete, block them just for having a difference of opinion, even if they state that they hate us. But when they're profanity or rudeness to other members of the group, that's what gets them hit, deleted, blocked.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they are welcome to have a difference of opinion from me.
Sure.
And that's okay. And I think that America on the whole could do very well with respecting that other people can have a difference of opinion, and it doesn't make them an evil person.
Exactly.
Even if you absolutely hate what they think, it doesn't make them an evil person.
Right.
So this guy is going to go back into his room.
Okay.
And we are going to move on to part two.
Would you get a picture
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
both of
Yep,
us? I
certainly.
saved one.
Oh, good idea. Yep. So you
We'll get
want
on
to
either-
stand like this and
Yeah,
just
we'll get on
lead him
either
down
side.
like that? Yep,
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay, thank you so
I'll stand
much.
over here.
Okay.
You got to get your hand out of his
Okay.
face too, though. Say, hey, Flash, and then put it on
Hey,
your
Flash.
Say it in a low voice like you say,
Hey,
hey,
Flash.
Flash.
Hey, Flash.
There you go.
Thank you so much. This
Thank
has
you,
been
Flash.
amazing.
Great having electronic
appreciate
cameras so you can
that.
just click it 1,000 times and
Amazing.
delete while you drive.
Exactly right.
Oh my gosh.
So did you guys drive here from Cincinnati for this, or are you staying in the area?
We're staying in the area, but we came for this.
Yeah. Where are you staying?
Topton, North Carolina.
Topton. You up on a mountain ridge?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we
Excellent.
are.
Very top
Way
of
up there.
it.
Yeah. You're about a week late on the colors, but
Yeah.
there's still a good amount of color out there. How do the colors look where you're staying?
Pretty much there's one red leaf on the tree that we've seen across the area, so.
Yeah, still a
So
little
when you
orange
leave
out there.
here today, if you're not in a hurry to get to where you're going, the color is still on if you go up the mountain right by us.
Okay.
If you put when you get back out to 64 highway, don't put it in your nav from here. You're going up a adventurous in a Jeep gravel road. But if you put it in your nav from out there, put in Benton Falls. It'll
Okay.
take you up a road that goes like this,
Yeah.
paved up to Benton Falls. And you're not actually trying to go to Benton Falls to go hiking. I mean, unless you want to, but you get those shoes pretty dirty.
That's fine.
But there are 3 or 4 spots on the way up that say scenic overlook, and being a little bit lower in elevation, our colors are a little bit behind where you are. So there's still more reds and oranges to see if you drive up that way. And where it says scenic overlook on the sides of the roads, you literally just pull over and just it's right there.
Wow.
You don't have to hike at all.
Okay.
If you were carrying a lunch to eat outside, Benton Gazebo is a good place to stop and eat lunch. And it's just a stone gazebo on the side of the road, and it has a 180 panorama of the valley below. That would be a pretty place to sit and eat lunch. If you were trying to find a place to pick up the lunch on the way there, Myrtle's Cafe is who does all of the catering for all the rafting companies here.
Yeah.
And it's in a building that looks like Old West, but you know, it's only 2 years old. But it's built to look Old West style. And when you get cookies there, they're still a little bit wiggly. That's the Lord's work as far as I'm concerned. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so that'd be a good place to stop and grab a lunch to eat if you went up there. And then if you were going hiking, if you went to Benton Falls, it's 1.4 each way. And the waterfall at the bottom is, you know, it's one that goes all across all the rocks all the way down. and it's significantly bigger than this barn. So it's a cool fall.
Okay.
And it's 1.4 each way. I don't know about those shoes
Oh, I brought my
necessarily.
hiking boots because we're
Oh.
horseback riding.
Oh, excellent. Are you going to Akoi horse riding?
Here, we're going the 60-minute.
Oh, you're going horse riding with me today.
Mhm.
Okay, I didn't even see that on my schedule.
Okay.
All right, great. You better look at my calendar and get somebody to bring a horse in. Yeah, what time is that?
Okay.
Is that right when we're done with this?
Mm-hmm.
Like 11 something? Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Pause, guys. I need to look at my phone. We'll be back in 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
We'll be back in 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
We'll be back in 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
We'll be back in 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So I guess everybody was listening to me on the phone. Amateur hour, guys, because Kevin isn't here today. Kevin is out riding bikes. If you want to see where he's riding bikes, he's on adventures with Emmy today. Emmy is his daughter.
Oh.
And we are going upstairs for the baby sloth now. If you guys want to see the way that Flash is in his room when he's all done with his encounters for the day, which that was his whole day right there.
Wow.
Because they literally only do 2 a day, max of 4 people at a time. And that is all he does for the day. So his belly is full now, so he's going to go in and go upstairs. And when we get upstairs, he will either be sleeping in a branch or in his hammock. And
He just kind of goes in by himself?
Yep, he is very slinky-like, and you're going to see him do significantly more than the splits as he steps through the door right here. And some people that watch us online think that we're horrible people and that this is his whole area right here is hanging on this branch in the kitchen. Nothing could be further from the truth, but truth doesn't concern a lot of people. But the way that Flash goes in, and you're welcome to walk in there and see how he goes up. Secrets. So this is Flash's room in here, and he is going to go all the way up. And he is going to go up into his hammock and probably take a nice long nap. And in just a minute, you guys are going to see him from the top side because we are going to do our VIP portion in the camel condo today. Because some stupid idiot, possibly me, didn't put on the heat out in the cuddle cabin. And he's gotten into his hammock up there. And hey guys, we did also just install a live cam up there, so you guys can actually see this sloth during the day when he's moving around in his environment up there. But guys, we're going to be a little woogie while I move to the upstairs, so stay with us for a minute.
They do move faster than I thought.
Yeah, doesn't he?
Uh-huh. Let me grab my jacket.
This is the outside of where we were, guys. If you haven't seen us before, this is the exotic animal barn. We are now going upstairs in the exotic animal barn into the camel condo, and that's where we're doing our second part. Will you bring her up, Tony? Please and thank you. This is outside on the farm. There's a couple gazebos over there. That's one of the cabins you can stay in. Those down there are the covered wagons that you can stay in. Those are pretty cool. This up here is the camel condo, and we are gonna sit. Oh, I said that they could see Flash from the top, and you guys can't too. He's right inside of this window right here. As far as I know, this where we are is the only place in the world that you could stay and have this window right here. As far as I know, this where we are is the only place in the world that you could stay and have a sloth for your roommate. So down the stairs down there is where we just came from. And if you're up here, this is the sloth's environment inside, and this is the camel condo. And this is a rentable space. This one sleeps 10 people, 3 king suites, 2 hidden bunk rooms, and it's cool. This is a rentable space. This one sleeps 10 people, 3 king suites, 2 hidden bunk rooms, and it's a cool place to be. Thanks, sir. All right, y'all. This is Zoe.
Oh my God.
Baby. And she only transfers in this basket. Obviously, she does not live in it. And she transfers on her stuffy so that she doesn't grab onto you as hard. So if you guys want to have a seat on the couch right there, you will be able to hold this little girl. This is Zoe. Zoe is a 2-toed sloth also. And she doesn't have to keep the stuffy, she just transfers on it. And then if you support her under her hind end, what she wants to do is hang around your neck. Because that is what she does with my wife all day, every day, pretty much. And so Zoe, need a breath. You can take a minute to just chill with Zoe.
Yeah.
I just want to cry. It's so much good emotion. This is so
That is very, very common.
Give me a love bite.
Yes, you still are welcome to take as many pictures and as many videos as you want. We do not charge for things like pictures and videos. We don't make them for you either, but I'm happy to take pictures for you with your phone though if you want me to.
Oh my gosh.
Profile pic coming up.
This is the sweetest.
That's right. I know, this is...
Wow. She's so much softer than Flash.
Yeah, his hair is a lot longer. So they have an undercoat and an overcoat, so the long hairs on the outside are where she's beginning to get adult hairs.
Right.
So her birthday is December 16th. She will be 1 year old on December 16th. So she's currently 11 months. She's been here since she was 3.5 months old, and when she came here, she weighed 1 pound 11. She currently, her natural weight is about just a shade over 6 pounds. And that is her least favorite way to be scratched is like this. She very much prefers like this. And she slow and quiet is the way sloths like it. And the difference between her and Flash primarily, I mean she's a girl, he's a boy, but and they are unrelated if anybody wondered. The primary difference between her and Flash is that she was raised from birth to be oriented to people. So, and you can move those pillows around so you're comfortable. You don't have to sit the way it is. She has been people-oriented from birth. And we'll transfer her one time during this, and we'll move her to her stuffy and then to, man, I'm bad with names. Rick, yeah, Rick. Rick and Rebecca. 2 R's, I should be able to remember that.
R&R.
Yeah, R&R, and here you are on R&R. Yeah, I used to drive. One of my favorite motorcycles I ever had was a CBR 900 RR, and that one was my license plate on it was unicycle because I drive around on the rear wheel all the time. Different story, different day. But so the guy who bred Zoe has been involved in sloth conservation via captive bred animals. He only sells to USDA licensed people. You have to be approved by him before you're ever going to get a sloth from him. You have to prove that you have the knowledge and the resources to properly care for a sloth. You have to have reference by him before you're ever going to get a sloth from him. You have to prove that you have the knowledge and the resources to properly care for a sloth. You have to have reference by him before you're ever going to get a sloth from him. You have to prove that you have the knowledge and the resources to properly care for a sloth. You have to have reference by him before you're ever going to get a sloth from him. You have to prove that you have the knowledge and the resources to properly care for a sloth. You have to have reference. So he's been doing this for about 30 years now, and he has the most genius system there is for having healthy, people-oriented sloths. So his mother animals are all clicker trained. So click, 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 I'm gonna take the baby, but for having healthy, people-oriented sloths. So his mother animals are all clicker trained. So click, 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 I'm gonna take the baby, but it will be back. It doesn't stress the mothers, therefore it doesn't stress the babies. So from a baby sloth only eats milk from its mother for somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks because the mother just doesn't have the energy budget to produce milk for any longer than that. And the babies begin eating solid food on day 4 budget to produce milk for any longer than that. And the babies begin eating solid food on day 4 of their life. So the clicker training, click, 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 gonna take the baby, starting from 2 weeks old. He's holding the baby for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, working up until by the time the mother has weaned the baby is being held for 30, 45 minutes, several times a day by people. So the babies are entirely imprinted on people, but yet get all the social and health benefit of being a mother-raised animal, which is a trick. Most animals you're ever going to bottle feed, you take them away from their mother, and that's how you people orient them, is take them away from their mother, give them bottles, and there you go. So like similarly, our kangaroos are bottle fed, but they drink milk from their mother as long as they should, but then at the point that the mother would be ready to wean them, then we start them on bottles. And nutritionally, they don't necessarily even still need the bottles, and the mothers would have weaned them off of milk. But we keep giving them bottles just for the social interaction aspect of it. So that's another good way. But anyhow, talking about sloths. So the babies stay with their mothers for as long as the mother stays with the baby. In the wild, a two-toed sloth will stay with its mother for 3 or 4 months. And they'll only eat milk for 3 to 6 weeks, but then the mother is teaching the baby how to live in the world. After that, they used to think that sloths lived in one tree or a very small set of trees for all their life because of the poop piles and all that. Sure, yeah. Now they realize that a mother sloth will live in one tree or a very small set of trees while she has a baby with her, and she is teaching the baby that small world. When she weans the baby, the mother leaves from there and leaves the baby in the place that the baby's been for all its life. And then the baby's world gets bigger over time as it explores the world on its own. And the mother's primary focus at that time is that they teach the baby what to eat and how to eat it by example. So you can see pictures online of a mother and a baby chewing on the same leaf at the same time. Really cute. Oh, yeah. And that's how they learn, that's how they teach the babies how to eat and what to eat in the wild. Obviously our sloths are fed, they don't need to learn what to eat, and there's nothing harmful for them to eat around here. Yeah. But that is how he raises these babies, to have all the social and health benefit of being a mother-raised animal, but people-oriented from birth. So this baby sloth, I wanted to name her Oof, because I've never heard Flash vocalize, but when you go to set her down, she goes, Oof, Oof, which is, no, hold me. And because her primary groove in life is to be held by people. That is what she loves, that's what she treasures. Yeah. And the downside of being my wife is she's chained to her phone and her computer all day, every day. The upside is she's holding the sloth while she's doing it. Oh. So if you're talking to my wife on the phone or emailing with her, probably Zoe is there supervising. Yeah. But
so sweet. She just kind of squeezes, and you can hear her exhaling. You can.
Yeah. She is an extraordinarily cuddly animal. I think that there are people who think that we only post greatest hits on our Facebook or TikTok or whatever. The only ones we don't post or when somebody is utterly broken down weeping, because we're not trying to embarrass anyone,
No, right.
but a lot of people have a very, very visceral response to holding this animal,
Yeah.
because there's just something transcendent about it that you just can't adequately describe in words.
Right, words don't do it justice.
Because they seem like they could not survive. They don't have. They're so slow, and you know how is this animal surviving in the wild?
So they go out to the ends of the branches where the cats can't get to them and the large snakes can't get to them. And then the only thing that can get to them are the eagles. And another benefit of the moths is that the moths are fertilizing by their waste, the moss and the algae that's all in the sloth's fur. So if you see a wild sloth, they look green and nasty and just, but the moss and the algae are helping to disguise them from the eagles up in the tops of the trees. So, you know, the brown blends in with the brown of their natural fur, blends in with the branches, and then the green and the dark colors of the moss and algae blend in with leaves. So they actually are quite well camouflaged in the jungle. But when they lose their lives is when they come down the trees to go to the bathroom. And, you know, that's another one that you're like, gosh, why is that? Because given that they go on the same pile all the time, that's how you find a sloth, is you look for the poop on the ground and then you look up in the trees, and you got to think the cats have cracked the code on that one too.
Right.
So they'll tell you that a sloth in the wild, and no one knows for sure, I mean it's conjecture, but they will tell you that a sloth's lifespan in the wild is, you know, something in the 20-30 years range. But obviously they're prey animals, not predator animals, so none of them are going to die of old age.
Yeah.
And these days, fragmentation of the canopy, where they, you know, build stuff in, makes there be not the solid canopy that really benefits their health. And power lines that go even around the outsides of where they are. Power lines are a huge threat to sloths right now, as is vehicle traffic. Because as slow as they are in the trees, you know, they just drag themselves on the ground. So suppose it can only move 5 feet per minute going across the ground. If a road is, you know, even 40 feet across, that's several minutes to go across. And how many cars are there going to be, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So getting rough for them in the wild. There are still some pretty big areas where sloths can live. I think they said it's maybe 1,000 square kilometers, but still, you know, loss of environment is the biggest problem for that, and that is the biggest thing we can do, is waste less. And, you know, send funding, obviously. Everybody wants funding, but there are several sloth conservation organizations out there that are working hard.
So yeah, the tuft of fur that's just sticking out right there.
Yeah, that's just its little cowlick. So if you look at, you can't really see it on her because she doesn't like to be held out, but their sloth, their fur parts on their belly and comes back together on their back. The opposite of the way that, you know, dogs and cats, it parts on the top, it comes back together on the belly, because they're most of the time upside down in the wild, and therefore the water hits here and sheds off along and drips off of their back, instead of the opposite way like most other mammals would be. And you can touch her little ears, they like kind of still stick out a little bit.
Her eyes is closed. Closed. If you move her, she just grabs. If you move her, she just grabs on a little bit tighter.
They pretty much just exude calm.
Oh, they do. Just peace and sweetness.
We get haters that will comment, that's a wild animal, it's going to tear you up. I'm like, well, comments free from knowledge.
Right,
Good. Good morning, Ed. You want to go outside, baby? Come here, baby. Oh, good boy. It's funny that he makes the loud grumbly noise, but he sticks his head down into the halter because he wants to go. He just wants to, you know, act like he doesn't want to go. Hey, boo-boo. So these guys were not outside yesterday because it rained. And the only weather that a camel isn't good with is rain. They have big flat feet, and they are like ducks on ice skates. Boo-boo's coming too. These guys are utterly codependent. They won't walk one without the other. And so Ed is saying, well, wait, is Boo-boo coming? Hey, come here, Boo-boo. Come here, baby. Come on. Let's go, baby. It's not raining. Come on. No, we're not going to Boo-boo's stall. Come on, Boo-boo. Watch your step. There's mud. Come on, Boo-boo. What do you think Marty's doing this morning? Let's go find out. And we got to go look for eggs. We got to go see if there's emu eggs. You want to go with me? Huh? Come on, Boo-boo. Watch your step, boys. It's muddy. Come on, Boo-boo. Good babies. Good babies. We're going to go look for emu eggs. So there was this black bucket laying in the corner over here, and the emu laid an egg next to that like 3 times. Now I guess somebody was picking up the field to move the bucket. I don't know why the bucket made a secure place for an emu to lay an egg, but whatever. No one has ever accused an emu of being a genius. They're pretty much profoundly stupid. And they like to lay them over here sometimes in this pile of stuff, which is why the pile is still here. And the emus sometimes chase me while I look for emu eggs. Hey, Marty, how you doing, buddy? Oh, I don't have a carrot with me, dude. The emus sometimes chase me while I look for the eggs. And if they do, a boo is going to come and run the emus off. I imagine a lot of people are excited about the fall weather coming. I do not share their enthusiasm. I like it hot. My favorite place is Hawaii. Just too expensive to live there. I honestly considered moving there at one point, but I just couldn't figure out how my kids would ever support themselves on the economy of Hawaii. But I used to go there every year, and we would go first to Oahu, because Dive Oahu, wonderful organization, at least they were 10 years ago, had a 5-day dive package. You could go as often as the boat went for one price. You could dive on the YO, and you could dive on the airplane wings, and there were some tiger sharks that hung out by the airplane wings. And the only thing you really had to pay extra for on the 5-day dive package was nitrox and DPVs. So that was a lot of fun. Then we would go over to the Big Island, and it's funny, I used to say when I was a kid this stupid little thing for no apparent reason, that when I was grown I was going to live on the flat rolling mountainous countryside near the city on the beach, where it's never too hot and never too cold and never rains because the ground is watered with a mist. And much to my surprise, the place actually exists. It's called North Kohala Ranch on the Big Island of Hawaii, and it's shaped, you know, like this. And you buy your lot according to what you want your daytime high to be. It's pretty amazing. So if you want your daytime high to be like 85 in the summer, 80 in the winter. You buy the first 1,000 feet of elevation, and for every 1,000 feet that you go up, you lose 5 degrees on the daytime high. And that ranch has, I think, 5,000 feet of elevation change. So, you know, every 1,000 feet is 5 degrees. So you can pick your lot by what you want your daytime high to be. Pretty amazing. And so anyway, that whole ranch is watered by a gravity-fed sprinkler system that they have huge catchment systems up on the top of Mauna Kea. And, or no, Mauna Loa, I guess, is where their catchment tanks are. And the whole thing is gravity fed by sprinkler system, so it's lush and green, but it's on the desert side of the island, so it's never ever rained on that ranch. It's like the perfect place to live if it wasn't so doggone expensive. And then we would go over to Kauai, the Garden Isle, which is where we spent most of the time that we ever spent in Hawaii. And my favorite things about Kauai, we would go up to Bali High Villas, which is a Wyndham place. And Greg Winston, my good friend Greg Winston, I'll have to figure out how to tag him in one of these one day. He runs a dive company up there and he has a board shop, and he's a great guy. If you're going diving in Hawaii, look for Greg Winston. I think his company's called Malama Kekai or something like that. But awesome diver. Hey, Boo Boo. What you doing, baby? Oh, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. No eggs today, Boo Boo. No emus chasing. No job for you. You need a scratch? Oh, good boy. You need some scratches. You need some loving. Oh, now Ed's jealous. Ed's gonna be jealous. But he's gonna act like he's not. He's gonna stand 10 feet away. Think we should give Ed some lovins? Let's see. Hey, Ed. You need a scratch too, buddy? Oh, come here. Oh, come here. People think that's your angry noise. I don't think you're angry right now, are you? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yes, sir. Oh, what a good baby you are. Oh boy. So yeah, we would go over to Kauai for the rest of the time. My kids love to go down to Honolulu because in Honolulu it's like the most amazing place to learn to surf, because it's like, you know, that ocean comes in this direction, so it stacks up in the back, and it's like 3 to 5 feet all the time where it stacks up in the back, and it's 1 to 3 feet on both sides like all of the time. And I'm not a surfer, but a good buddy of mine that was my 5-year-old's Sunday school teacher, had been a surfer for all his life, so I sent him to Kauai one year, and he said he surfed more tubes in one day in Kauai than he had in his entire life as a surfer, and he was not a young man. But love Hawaii. Great place. Well, guys, I got to go do some other stuff. Farm work never ends. But talk to you for a minute there while I look for eggs. Maybe that'll be a daily thing. Who knows?